So I apologize for that. um, Hi again. My name is Heidi Roth, and I'm a health coach and dietitian. And today our topic is fun in the sun. So I have my chat box open, and if you have any comments or questions, would love to get any participation. If you, I'm always happy to have that. So let's get started. I think we're all super excited that summer is finally here. And so, how can we kind of maximize our summer and get the most out of it, especially when we have kids? And so, our agenda for today is to talk about why we want to get outside and be in the sun. Right? We hear so much about getting out of the sun, but we'll talk about designing our summer, some ideas for summer bucket lists, some and some snacks and kind of summery treats. So we'll get started. All right. So why get outside? Obviously, when we go outside, we want to make sure that we're putting sunscreen on, that we're being safe with all of that. But what are some of the health benefits of getting outside? There are many. Number one is some exercise. Typically, when we tend to get outside, we are moving. Yeah, we could be sitting on the beach, but in general, being outside is associated with some sort of physical activity. There's been so many studies that have shown that by spending time outside, we are less anxious and happier. And I think all of us, not only for ourselves, but we want our kids to be less anxious and happier, right? And as parents, it's just what we want. It's also a really great way to get vitamin D. It's one of the best ways to get vitamin D. Really, here in the northern latitudes, here in New England, we don't tend to get all that much sun during the wintertime. So in the wintertime, we are not making much vitamin D. Maybe we're supplementing with it. But in the summertime, maybe waiting 10 minutes before putting sunscreen on, just so you get a little bit of a chance to make some vitamin D. By spending time outside, you'll sleep better. Multiple studies also show that you'll heal faster as well. And then, of course, some adventure and fun. I'm seeing a question here, and the question is, does it matter if it's morning, afternoon, or evening to get vitamin D? Really, the best source of vitamin D is going to be when the sun is at its brightest, which would be somewhere between 10 and 4 p.m. Before 10, after 4, you potentially probably are not going to make all that much vitamin D. Now, with that being said, that's also the time when you're going to get the most sun exposure as well. So get 10 minutes of the vitamin D and then put the sunscreen on, put the long sleeve shirt on or whatever. And you really only need about 10 minutes for your body to produce enough vitamin D. So more necessarily isn't better. Your body actually stops producing the vitamin D when it has as much as it needs. Okay, but the great question. So, I'm seeing another question here too. Oh, okay, you're welcome. All right, so the days are long, but the summer is short. I think as parents, we've probably heard the saying, the days are long, but the years are short. I know as a parent myself, and my kids now are in a high school and college, and oh my goodness, it flew by. But man, some of those days are long, and especially during the summer times, there are some really long days when you're a parent and your kids are coming to you saying, "I'm bored." But at the end of the day, the summer is really short. And Gretchen Rubin is a writer and author that I tend to follow. She's written several books, and I know maybe you've heard other people say this as well. So I wanted to talk about this concept of designing your summer, and so that we can really maximize this time that we have. I'm assuming most all of you who are joining me here today are from New England, and here in New England too, we get maybe 3 months of summer. It's actually been a really nice summer so far. It's been a beautiful summer so far, so we've been fortunate for that. But with kids, you really only get 18 summers. And so you really want to make them count. By the time your kids are late high school and college, they've got jobs, they've got their own plans. And so it's really nice, even though it's much harder sometimes having smaller kids during the summer, it's this golden opportunity to spend time together as a family and to really enjoy your kids. So, creating a summer plan is really a great thing to do. As adults during the pandemic, especially, we've been so focused on ourselves, just trying to work, maybe whether we're working from home or just trying to manage everything. And our kids are stressed and maybe lonely after many, many months of not going to school and doing Zoom. And so, really trying to get the kids as involved in designing a summer plan as possible. Ask them, what do they want to do? Are they nervous about re-engaging? Maybe they are kind of nervous about getting out among people. They, especially for the smaller ones, maybe they're not used to being around a lot of people. Um, Maybe you have kids under 12 that aren't vaccinated yet. So obviously you're going to maybe need a different type of plan than you would have on a regular summer. You'll still need to be flexible. But really the focus should be on fun. Our kids have had, a really tough year and a half. And so the more that we can just focus on letting them be kids and having fun and not worrying so much about, scheduling every single second of their day, but how can we make the most out of summer? So in designing your summer, I found that really one of the best things to do is maybe have a little family meeting, family get together, a little powwow, and you say, okay, kids, and maybe you get your chalkboard out or your big poster paper and you say, hey, let's design our summer. Let's come up with some stuff that we want to do this summer and write it down. So many years I didn't write down what I wanted to do in the summer. And I kind of just had this vague kind of idea of, oh, this would be fun to do. And oh, this would be fun to do. And then you kind of forget about it. And it's the end of summer and you're like, oh man, why didn't I ever do that? It was something I really kind of wanted to do. So making sure that you write it down. Now, it is fun to go online and look at bucket lists and see what is everyone else doing with their summer? What are some of your neighbors doing? What are some of your friends doing? Um, and it's really a great way to get some ideas, but obviously, don't compare and don't compete. That's not setting yourself up for a fun summer when you feel like you're in a competition to do the most things. And so if you tend to be someone who likes to check things off your to-do list, be very aware of that. This is not a to-do list. It's kind of an idea of, hey, we said we wanted to do this. And is this the right weekend? Would this be fun to do now? Not, oh, all right, we said we were going to go to the beach 5 times. Let's start knocking that out. Right? You want this to be fun. That's the key word here is fun. How can you make this a fun summer? Also, research local events. We are so fortunate to live here in New England. Um, I didn't grow up in New England. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I think Pittsburgh is a pretty awesome city myself. But man, I got to tell you, New England, I adore New England. There's so much to do here. People literally come from all over the country, all over the world to vacation here in New England. So we're really fortunate that we just have so many things that we can do here in New England. And then lastly, too, imagine it's the end of summer. What will you be disappointed in if you don't do by the end of summer? All right, so include a mix of different kinds of activities. And, everyone in the family obviously should get their input into what type of activities that they want to be included. So sometimes it's nice to have these traditions, right? Whether it's the ice cream stand that you go to every summer, or maybe you vacation the same place on the Cape every summer, and it's nice. Traditions are nice, right? And it makes kind of us feel comforted, makes our kids feel comforted. But keeping in mind too, trying something new is also really important. And as humans, we kind of thrive when we try new things. And it's really fun, can be fun and exciting trying someplace new. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit more planning and a little bit more work than the old tried and true, and we know it and we're comfortable with it. Maybe in addition to outdoor activities, and our focus here today is really stuff that you can do outside and getting outside, but maybe you also include some indoor activities in the mix as well. But because it's summertime, we want to maximize all this gorgeous weather that we have now. Include some activities that are free. Maybe you include some splurge activities or things that you've really kind of been wanting to do for a long time, or that maybe you need to save up for a little bit. Daytime activities and also maybe some nighttime activities. Of course, this will depend on how old your kids are, but depending how old they are, it's kind of fun to do some stuff at night. And as I had mentioned, we just have so many great things here in New England. I live in Massachusetts, so maybe I'll give you some ideas of things to do outside in Massachusetts. But really looking around and seeing what's in your state. It's kind of like that commercial. What's in your wallet? Well, what's in your state that you can do? Do you live in New Hampshire? There's so many great things to do for kids in New Hampshire. The White Mountains are great vacation area. This is the Flume Gorge in New Hampshire, and it's really funny. It's not funny. It's fun. It's a gorge with a waterfall, and you get to walk on these wooden planks. And this one does cost money. It's actually not a national park. It's privately owned. But it is a very cool thing to do if you're in the New Hampshire kind of White Mountain area. Maine, if you live in Maine, also such a great, wonderful state. Maine has some pretty cool forts that you can go see that are from the Civil War era that are fun to go see with kids. I know like Fort Knox is one that I kind of comes to mind as that we went to go see with our kids. And I know there's some different forts. Ogunquit, of course, is close to us here in Boston. And Connecticut. I used to live in Connecticut. I have, so many fond memories of different fun places to go in Connecticut. But one of the things that our kids always liked in Connecticut was the Mystic Seaport and Mystic Aquarium. So that's also a really great thing in Connecticut. And, I know I'm missing so many things. These are just kind of a little taste of some other things here in New England. But I live in Massachusetts, and one of the nice things that we have in Massachusetts is something called the Trustees of the Reservation. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of this, but they own and preserve over 100 different special properties here in Massachusetts. So they're a great place here if you live in Massachusetts. There's also some great national parks around here. Just one of the places that's kind of special to me is the Crane Estate. I don't know, has anyone been here? And it's just this really grand, beautiful old house close to Crane Beach. They owned Crane Beach and they donated the land. Now it's all part of the trustees. But it's really kind of fun just going there with kids and exploring kind of this beautiful grounds that they have and beautiful gardens, and then going to the beach. So I'm seeing here, trustee sites have entrance fees. Yes. So typically the entrance fees tend to be per car. So if you're going to the beach, it's like it's $25 entrance fee. If you're just going to the estate, I think it's like $5 or $6 for the car. It might be a little bit more now. But the libraries offer passes, and that is such a great suggestion. Thank you for reminding me of that. Libraries not only have passes to, the trustees' properties, but they also have passes to so many different museums. And so it's a really, really great, lot more economical way of going to seeing some different things. Appleton Farms, I don't know if anyone's been to Appleton Farms, but this is actually the country's oldest continuously operating farm. They have a nice little farm store there. You can see some of the animals. They have some really nice little hikes around there. And they all also, the Crane Estate and Appleton Farms have summer concerts. We actually just went to a summer concert here 2 weekends ago. And there were so many kids dancing on the lawn, running around, and the parents were sitting in their chairs. And it was Father's Day weekend. So the theme was craft beers and pizza. And, the dads were just sitting there having a great time drinking their craft beers and eating pizza. And it was really, really nice. So that's one of the things that we always really enjoyed when our kids were super small, is just letting them run around, for these outdoor concerts. And that's really a lot of fun. If you live kind of in Connecticut, more northern Connecticut or central Massachusetts, Dinosaur Footprints is also kind of a fun place to go with kids. And this is just a little, very, very small area of the trustees. It's out by the Holyoke area, kind of central Massachusetts. And they have over 800 dinosaur footprints. And typically, when you think of dinosaurs, you think like out west, nowhere here in New England. But if you have a kid who loves dinosaurs, that might be kind of a fun thing to go see. It's a small little thing. It's really not all that big. It's like a half-hour visit type of thing. But it's free, no reservations are needed. And so that's kind of nice. And as I had mentioned, checking your town for concerts. So wherever you live, excuse me, wherever you live, whether it's New Hampshire, Maine, whatever it might be, Massachusetts, so many towns have different concerts that, just really kind of a fun thing to let the kids run around. And of course, the trustees of reservations also has some concerts as well. In the Boston area, the Freedom Trail, Black Heritage Trail, Boston Harbor Islands are so much fun. If you live in Maine or even New Hampshire, Portsmouth, I believe they have whale watches that you can go see on those as well. So Connecticut too, we're so lucky that we kind of all have this ocean access, right? Minuteman National Park is kind of fun if you have a child who's a history buff and just going to see everything that happened, at the start of the Revolutionary War is a fun thing. But wherever it is that you're going, plan ahead and prepare for outside adventures, right? Do you need reservations? So many of the areas now outside, because people want to get outside and they're tired of being cooped up. It's really wonderful. A lot of people are enjoying them, but unfortunately, a lot of these places are getting can be a little bit more crowded than what they are. What's the parking? If you're going on a Saturday and it's going to be a gorgeous day and they only have 6 parking spots, do you have a plan B if there's no parking available? Is there someplace else close by that you can do? If you're going on a hike with your kids, really, making sure that you're downloading a trail map. I love All Trails. Does anyone have All Trails? It's an app that you can put on your phone, and it's kind of fun, for kids to see where they are on the trail. I just went on a hike yesterday, and I was in New Hampshire, and we were using that, and it tells you the difficulty of the hike, the distance, the hours needed. So that's kind of a nice. And what's nice is that they'll show you nearby you what the family friendly trails are. So, just check your app. Hey, what's close by me? And a lot of times, so many times, it's like, oh my gosh, I never realized I had so many trails close by my house that I never really think about. So highly recommend All Trails. And here is just, kind of a view. You can see, where it is by you. They'll show you the elevation. They show you the route. You can see some pictures, reviews of what other people said. Um, I'm seeing a note here. The Blue Hills Trailside Museum is also great in the South Shore area. Oh, well, that's interesting. So it's a museum. I didn't realize that. Oh, and they have otters. I love otters. They're one of my favorite animals. They're so adorable. Okay, so that's a sanctuary. So yeah, definitely highly recommend all trails. And they just have some really, really great suggestions. Other helpful tips: bring snacks. For our kids, those snacks tended to be kind of those high value treat type of snacks. I'm a dietitian, so I always was pretty careful about what my kids ate. We didn't have a lot of junk food in our house, but man, we went for a hike and it's like, kids, whatever you want. And it just, when they're kind of getting tired sometimes, oh, let's just go a little bit longer and then we'll sit down and we'll have, a snack. And it always kind of kept them energized. Of course, bring some layers, bring a charged cell phone in case, you get lost, some sunscreen, insect repellent. Um, and here's an outdoor bucket list, maybe for some younger kids. And, maybe teenagers might still, of course, would enjoy a lot of this stuff. But maybe you put on your rubber boots and go ponding. So many of these areas around here have marshy kind of areas, and it's kind of fun to glop around in the mud with your rain boots. Maybe you go outside and do some stargazing. And this is depending on how close you live to a city, this can be kind of tough. But if you're going out in the country, making sure that you're getting out there and you're finding the Big Dipper and finding some of those stars. When you're going to the beach, maybe you go tide pooling and looking at the tide pools. And can you find any crabs? What kind of creatures can you find in there? And oh my goodness, you can spend so long just checking out all those tide pools. Maybe one of your list things is to sleep in a tent. Maybe it's even just in your own backyard. If you don't have a tent, can you borrow one from someone? And I believe even some places will rent tents. I believe like REI rents tents. Maybe you make sure you go play in the rain, and that's one of your things. You go fly a kite, build a fort outside. And maybe it's just kind of a miniature fort for maybe a fairy or a garden gnome. Going fishing, hunting for bugs, planting a seed and watching it growing, going on a night hike, looking for fireflies. So not all places have fireflies. I know we had tons of them in Pennsylvania. But depending on where you live, you may or may not have fireflies. And there's just so much to do outdoors. So just some ideas of your outdoor list of things to do in addition to hiking. And maybe you do an outdoor scavenger hunt. So this is actually a little scavenger hunt that you can buy from Target. But if you just Google nature scavenger hunt, you can kind of download some stuff and, maybe you look for it. If it's a rainy day, maybe you do an indoor scavenger hunt. And once again, if you just Google indoor scavenger hunt, it has some cute, fun ideas of different things that you can do as well. Now, I have always found that picnic lunches always taste so much better outside. And when you're outside, you tend to get hungrier because you're, expending some energy. And so a picnic lunch can be as simple as a chunk of bread and a slice of cheese and an apple, or just a quick peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some carrot sticks that you throw together, and you go and you bring it along on your adventure. And the nice thing about the peanut butter and jelly is that, obviously it doesn't need to be refrigerated at all. And, grab and go. Sometimes maybe you want to mix it up a little bit and have a more kind of fancier spread. Maybe one thing that can be easy too, though, but going back to hiking, is these freezing juice boxes. And so they can keep your lunch cold without having to schlep extra ice packs along. And then by the time you sit down to lunch, you can drink the little juice boxes. So just have some of those in your kind of in your freezer that you can just grab and go. Maybe you do some mixed bean salad, some cut up fruit. A really quick and easy sandwich that I kind of love for hiking sometimes, and it depends how long the hike is. This one is actually a tuna sandwich. So depending on how uh, sophisticated your child's palate is, maybe this would be something that they would like or not. But this is called a pain beignet, and it's basically you take some French bread, you kind of hollow it out a little bit, and then you put tuna in it, not mixed with mayonnaise, but just plain tuna straight out of the can. You put in some chopped hard boiled egg, maybe some tomatoes, some olive oil, a little tiny bit of garlic, some um, basil, maybe some olives. And the nice thing about the sandwich is it's meant to kind of get a little soggy. So it's meant to, the flavors all to meld together into the bread. And it's also meant to be smushed. And a lot of recipes actually even call for putting like a brick on top and smushing it. So that's a nice kind of thing that you don't have to worry about getting it smushed in your backpack. Some fun summer treats would be kind of these frozen rainbow fruit kebabs. And once again, if you go to Pinterest, they have just a plethora of ideas. But here you just take like a bamboo stick, you thread some bananas, grapes, blueberries, whatever fruit you want, and then just drizzle a little bit of, take some vanilla yogurt, kind of whip it up. Maybe you thin a little bit with it, a little extra milk and or a little bit of, depending what type of syrup, maybe a little honey and drizzle it on top and freeze them. So these wouldn't necessarily be for hiking. Obviously, these would be treats to enjoy at your house. Has anyone made banana ice cream yet? Soft serve. It I've just made it for the first time recently, and it kind of blew my mind. It was really, really, really good. So you take some frozen bananas, mix in a little sun butter or peanut butter, depending, what you like at your house, a little bit of chocolate. You can keep the chocolate out. Maybe a tiny bit of extra milk, depending, you can put some almond milk in it or just some regular milk to thin it. You kind of make this soft serve, and then you can either eat it right away or you refreeze it, and it's still soft and it's really, really good. This is also kind of another fun um, popsicle that I like to make. Basically, you take some frozen blueberries, mix them with a little bit of maple syrup, just kind of cook them to break them down a little bit, and then swirl them with some coconut yogurt and in your popsicle, and those are really, really good. You could use vanilla yogurt too, but I really, really like the coconut. And then I liked these little banana bites that I do sometimes in the freezer too. I take little pieces of banana, put some melted peanut butter mixed with melted chocolate, or you could just do the little mini chocolate chips. Those are so super yummy too. And lastly, as we kind of close down here, remember that your job as a parent is to provide food, it's to provide shelter, love, lots of affection, and whatever your tools your kids need to thrive. But keeping in mind too, your job isn't necessarily to entertain them all day, right? Your job as a parent is to provide for them. And certainly we want to spend time with our kids, but have it be something that you enjoy doing. Don't feel like you have to spend the whole summer, you know, slogging through playtime or whatever. Find things that you enjoy doing together with your kids, and then also letting your kids have time to explore and go do things on their own. And that's what, and use their own creativity is important to remember too. So I'm not seeing any more questions, and we're just about out of time here. Any last questions, comments? But I would say enjoy these summers. It may seem like some of the days are really long, but before you know it, the summer's going to be gone. So hopefully you can design yourself a wonderful summer and really have a wonderful summer together with your kids. So thank you so much for joining me here today. And I don't see any other questions, so we'll say goodbye.